So, I don't usually do these, but I thought, I'll see how it goes, see how it's doing. I'm actually right now on a walk with the Axel boy. Hey, baby. So I'm gonna try to keep this entry short, at least. I recently had my therapist appointment a few days ago. We were talking about narratives and preconceived narratives we have about ourselves, or preconceived narratives people have made about us, and that's been difficult because I'm trying to learn a lot of very unhealthy ones, like how no one cares about me, no one loves me, or love isn't made for someone like me, and that's pretty like heavy and hard. I'm also I'm not used to recording myself, so I'm trying out all different angles because I'm not used to this. But I'm trying my hardest to unlearn those types of things, and how I'm trying to allow myself to have crushes even though I'm nowhere near ready to be in another relationship after what has happened to me. There really is nothing you can do, I guess. I guess morally just recognizing it is more of it. It's also just more of trying to learn about also what's it called? Foreshortened future, I think it's called. Dealing with that mindset, because I'm like, oh, I'm not meant to be alive right now, because at this point, 14-year-old me thought I was going to be dead by 18, or at least before 18. I'm turning 23 in a month, so that's difficult. He is just having a little sniff around, like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, what's going on? But yeah, no, he's a good boy. He's been a major help, though, with my PTSD. He's not even a service dog, and he does service dog things, which is kind of crazy. But he's great for that. So yeah, this is the little Axel baby. Axel! Say hello! Say hello! I'm gonna try to do these, every few days. Show you the ups and downs, emotions of my head, and whatever. To also just, I don't know, kind of gets all my thoughts out in one blur. And I always have my phone on me, so it's not not too bad. I just have to get used to recording myself in public. That just is a whole new thing and terrifying, low-key. Let's see how the rest of this goes. I'm so awkward, I'm so sorry. So, it is currently 5 to 4, and I just left college early because it's CCS, Cultural Context Studies, and I was like, bro, I'm not staying for this. I'm also just not feeling great today, I'll be honest. I did have a bit of a trigger on Monday, and that was very heavy, and I think that's probably why my mood is down. I mean, my mood has already been down, but I think it just made everything worse. It sucks. I have been thinking about maybe going to my doctor to up my meds, but I don't know if that's the right call or not. I'm always so hesitant on whether or not to up my meds or not, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's just a little episode, but I'm also like, will this benefit me during the episode or not? I don't know. Or sometimes I'm I downplay the severity of my episodes, but because I'm triggered, that's why I'm like, okay, I think I'm just really triggered, and that's why it's really bad. But I'm also just maybe it's best that I do up my dose. Or will it make it worse? I don't know. But yeah, it sucks. Right now I'm just waiting on my train. 40 minutes. So that should be fun. That was sarcasm. But yeah. I just feel really empty and helpless. It's the whole foreshortened future of like, oh, I didn't plan to be alive this long, and now it's all of a sudden hit me in the face, and I don't know what I'm doing. It's that like, I guess quarter life crisis at 23. It's the whole existential crisis, meaning of life type shit. You know what I mean? And then it's everything I've been through, and I'm only 23, so it's like, should have been through a lot. And I don't necessarily think it means anything. I guess it just means shit happens, you know what I mean? I don't think there's any other grand meaning to it. I don't want to glorify it. I don't want to give those people power over me. But it's heavy, so I don't know. I'm probably gonna talk with my parents when I get home. Basically, kind of like, should I or should I not? Should I up my meds or not? Cause I don't know if I should. So yeah. Alright, so my last video diary, I was going through a bit of stuff. I was having a mini episode. It was one of those, I guess, I don't, it's not like an existential crisis or midlife crisis, but it was one of those moments of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore, and I'm terrified because everyone seems to have a plan, and I don't have a plan, and because I didn't think I was gonna be alive this long, and blah 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 blah. I guess it sounds like just Gen Z, because we'll call it a Gen Z crisis. Um, but then I talked about it with my dad when I went home, and my dad was like, "I don't even know what I'm doing." Like 6 months down the line, you're fine, and I'm like, "Okay, dad." um, the Loki did make me feel a little bit better. I mean, I still kind of feel a little like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to like flip like my perspective on it instead of thinking, "Oh, I'm a failure because I don't know what I'm doing with my life." It's just more of like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with my. What's the thing that Oscar Wilde said? It was like, that is your punishment if you don't know what you're doing with your life. No, sorry. If you know exactly what you're doing with your life, that is your punishment. And if you don't know what you're doing with your life, it's like a gift. I probably butchering that, but it was. I definitely know it was Oscar Wilde who said that, and so I was like, okay, trying to flip my whole perspective on it, and I don't want to say dwindle on it, but like, I guess approach it with more curiosity instead of like dread and doom. Um, but on Friday we were discussing our new themes and project ideas with one of our coordinators, and I had like uh 3 or 4 ideas already, and then while I was like fleshing them out, I came up with 2 other ones, and so I kind of laid them all out on the table. Um, and I mentioned that 2 were quite personal, and he was like, "Okay, first off, don't ever label something as personal when you're having it as an idea and you're presenting it, because it kind of puts up a shield of like to other people that if they criticize it, it's gonna be very cutthroat." And so I'm like, okay, right. Yeah, it is. So, there was some ideas that were fleshed out, some that weren't. Um, but one of the ideas I'm saving for fourth year, um, because I kind of want that just to be like my big final piece. Um, but I decided to put it on the table and be like, so what do you think about this? You know what I mean? But because I labeled it as personal, he was like, all right. I don't think it's necessarily bad or anything. It's just more of because it's personal. I know it's if I criticize it, it's gonna be like I'm afraid to criticize it, but at the same time, I don't think the idea is bad. It's just more of right. Also, he wants to kind of me to explore myself artistically and that sort of thing before I go into something very heavy and deep, which I 100% get. And I was already kind of wanting to save it for fourth year anyway, so I came up with one other idea that was kind of personal that was growing up on the internet, and I don't know what happened. I woke up Saturday morning and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Um, but the other ideas that I had, he said they could all kind of link in together, and so I'm probably gonna do that. But I don't know, the idea of like self love and that sort of thing, and like, oh, what do people see self love as? Like narcissism? Do they see it as ego? You know, or what does self love mean to me? And so I'm probably gonna do that. That kind of speaks to me a bit more right now. Because I think I was just laying there in bed and I was like, I don't want to do growing up on the internet. It sounds so boring and negative, and I think that's the main thing. I just didn't want to make something negative. And so I was like, I want to make something a bit more positive, because that's kind of like if I want to make something negative, or if I want to make something, but in like a negative sense, I don't want to do it. So I think that's why I just didn't want to make that video anymore, or to make that piece anymore. What does self love mean to me? That was what I was trying to make this about. By the way, yes, that is Mr. Worldwide. He is beautiful. He watches me sleep. It's beautiful. I love this man. Um, what does self love mean to me? Um, it's weird because I remember like when I talked about this in therapy with my therapist, it was like this whole thing of um, self love isn't like telling yourself that you're amazing, that you're this, and that you're that. Um, a lot of it comes down to things as not putting yourself in certain positions that you weren't past. Um, things like um, managing things like self abandonment and self neglect. Um, Self discipline is another one. Um, and my biggest thing is positive self talk and not beating yourself up. I am so bad with it, and I'm trying to be better with it. Um, and I mean, I think I have improved in a certain sense, but um, it's still a really bad habit I'm trying to break. Um, and that's things I kind of want to incorporate in this film when I'm talking about self love. But also, it's not just about self love. There's like a bunch of other things. But there's also just a lot of. I think another thing about actually, I guess this is a bit personal. I wouldn't say this is for everyone's self love, but then yet again, everyone's self love probably looks different. Now that I think about it, um, is actually acknowledging pain and actually acknowledging things that you've been through, because there's so many things that I will just like mention like out of the blue, being all like, haha, yeah, like that happened to me, whatever. And then someone in my life, whether that be my mom or my dad or like my best friend or whatever, and it will be like, Lorcan, what you went through was really, really difficult or really, really fucking painful. Um, or, um, or I'm told, oh, like, you handled that way better than I would have. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, whatever. Like, I don't, like, I guess it's like the whole Irish society of oh, get on with it, you know? And I've always been kind of like that, like, oh, just get on with it, whatever, instead of actually sitting down, acknowledging it, and feeling what I'm feeling. Um, and then, of course, if I don't do that, they just kind of fester up, and I'm just going crazy. Um, and especially when I'm in relationships, I don't acknowledge how I'm feeling a lot. Um, because I'm so focused on the other person that it's like this whole other thing. And then before I know it, I'm abandoning myself and neglecting myself because I want this other person to feel great. And then I'm forgetting they're not making me feel great. They're making me feel like shit. Um, and so it's this big thing. And I'm like, everyone's, again, self love is like completely different. And, or at least that's what I would find. Um, but I do believe there is certain like guiding principles that will always um lead to like the same end goal, if that makes sense. Um, like we're always gonna need like self discipline, whether that's simple things of going to the gym, a healthier diet, um, sticking to our boundaries. If we are struggling with addictions or whatever have you, it's just there's a lot of things, you know what I mean. Um, but ultimately, we all have our own things we wanna like be better with, and not you know what I mean? Like, for like, if I can give an example, I deal with a lot of shame, and that is the one thing I deal with a lot, and I deal with it in many, many different ways. Whether that be putting myself down, whether that be, um, if I fuck up, um, I kind of eat myself up, and I want to isolate, and I don't want anyone to see me. Kind of embarrassing, but I don't deal well with shame. Um, and shame spirals are one thing that I deal with a lot. I struggle with it so much, and I try to be better with it because shaming yourself and doesn't fix anything. It's um and I'm trying to feel less shame about things, whether that be mental illness, which is something I struggle with a lot. I feel so ashamed about being mentally ill and dealing with mental illness and struggling with it, and um, or be shame of me being trans at times, because sometimes I think I don't struggle with it, but I kind of do at times. Um, or it will be things in my past, or it would be whatever, you know? Um, and I'm ultimately just trying to be better with all that. Um, but yeah. I feel like I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna stop now. But yeah.